Welcome to Studio 22. I'm your host, Danielle Frost, and with me today is Visiting Assistant Professor of Costume Design, Becca Bailey. Since Halloween is so close, she's going to show us how to make some easy, do-it-yourself costume accessories. Stay tuned for fun costume ideas, games, and stories about her first year here at OCU. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So with me here today is Becca Bailey, and thank you so much for coming. We're going to make some costume accessories. They're pretty fun. We're making some princess mouse ears, and we got half of them done for you already, so you can kind of see a little preview.
Little sparkle.
Little sparkles, yeah. I like the little beads and the, yeah. So how do we go about making these?
So first of all, you need just a couple of supplies. You need kind of a thicker wire to make, well, first of all, you need like a little headband that we're going to put that on, right? And we need a thicker wire to make the actual mouse ear here, and then some thinner wire that we're actually going to use to like bind it all together.
Wrap it. I gotcha.
Okay. So first of all, to make the ear, we need to make a circle. It's nice to get sort of like a springy wire for that.
Ooh, like a little slinky.
Because it's already sort of a circle, right?
Yeah.
So what I've done is sort of figured out how big I want it to be, and I'm going to match that with this one. That kind of makes sense. Can you kind of see that?
So yeah, so basically all she did was, she's cheating a little bit, but it's good.
Yep. So I've got sort of this shape, and it's already about the same size, and I'm just going to hold it together with my hands. You need like a pair of pliers. You don't have to use these fancy jewelry pliers. If you've got a pair of needle nose pliers like in your toolbox, that's totally fine too. And then you can have some wire cutters or a really crappy pair of scissors. Totally fine. Do not use your mother's fabric scissors or she will kill you because we're, cutting a little bit of wire. Yes. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit because I do want it to overlap.
Okay.
But I'm going to cut it down because I don't want to have to use a ton of that wire.
Beware of
it's going to fly a little bit. That's cool.
Flying wire.
There we go. That's not so bad.
That was pretty contained.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my my thinner wire and I'm just going to cut off a little piece. Maybe like a couple inches or so.
The tie around wire.
So easy. Actually, because we're doing little princess mouse ears, I'm going to put a few beads on there and then I'll show you how to
make it sparkly.
We're going to make it so sparkly.
I wish we had like background music. It'd be so fun. Disney sparkly magic ears.
Oh, you got to get beads that are big enough to kind of go on that wire. I'm not sure these are.
And beads you can pretty much get anywhere. They're
in
case you didn't know that. You can get beads.
In case you didn't know.
In case, not to sound...
No, that doesn't work. Okay.
Pretentious.
I've got one bead.
One bead.
I've got one bead.
Because, you don't want to overbling it.
Don't really.
You don't want to go too much.
Let me see.
Don't go too hard with your bling.
Nope, that doesn't have a big enough hole. Anyway, we can attach them
other ways.
It's okay.
She's got bling on the other ear, so you're good.
The other ears. I'll have to steal them for the other ones. Okay, so I'm going to check my shape again now that I've got my little beads on there.
We got asymmetrical
And I'm kind of going to lay my wire in there. If you can kind of see that. And hold it together. And then you're just going to... You want just a little bit of a tail to hold on to with your fingers. And then you're just going to start wrapping that.
This is the truly exciting part of the experience.
This is where it all
the magic happens right here.
I mean, it seems really simple. And it is simple.
I feel like, though, that I would somehow mess this up.
But sometimes you don't, know where to start.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's good. Do you like Halloween?
I
know
yes,
it's
sort
kind of
ish.
It's like your holiday, but like we talked about earlier, it's kind of like Christmas elves at Christmas.
Exactly. Like this is a costume, like Halloween is a costumer's Christmas where you know, everyone asks you, hey, can you help me with like a Halloween costume? And you're like, okay, sure. And then when it comes to you, you're like, I'm going to buy something on Amazon. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on a costume.
I never actually thought about that until I talked to you.
I know, right?
And I was like, oh, man, I feel so bad for those Christmas elves, too.
I know.
They must be so pumped about presents and wrapping. And then, like, they get to them, and it's like, nope, no time to wrap my own presents.
Okay, so we've got our little round, cute circle, right?
Yes. And a bead.
And a
Because
bead.
you don't want to overbling it.
We don't want to overbling bling it with just that. And then we're just going to kind of figure out where that goes, and we're going to cut another piece of wire
Okay.
for that.
So while we do that and prepare the wire, we're going to go ahead and wrap it. We're about to go to a short break, but then after that, we're going to come back and we're going to come back right after a short break so that we have some time to wrap this for you, so you don't have to watch that again.
You need to leave. Oklahoma isn't your room. So don't trash it.
The Stars in retreat. The shot goes up. Devasane comes out of nowhere, and another block for OCU. This guy's on fire. This kid owns OCU's record in blocks not only on the court, but off the court as well. Earlier today, he was busy crashing the boards. Just a rebounding machine. Even cleaning up the glass, giving a whole new meaning to garbage time. Devasane, MVP on the court, and keeping Oklahoma beautiful off the court.
Some people don't think it's easy to be green. Audrey does it every day. Turn off appliances when they're not being used. Shut off the lights when you leave a room. Always recycle paper. Recycle plastic, too. Today, Audrey did her part in helping OCU conserve. It's that easy. Have you done the same? Visit okcu.edu/bluegoesgreen for more information.
So welcome back. While we were on break, we went ahead and put
The little dingle.
a dangly bling on, and you're going to show us how to kind of keep that in place because right now it's kind of going on an adventure.
it's like, oh, I want to do all the things.
Let me be free.
So I'm just going to cut another little piece like that. And I want to decide kind of where I want it to stay. So if I'm going to put that on there, I know that it's falling to that side.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to put a little piece of wire here, kind of same concept. Keep a little piece
Yeah.
to do a little wrapping.
Also, I have been told that it is really easy to poke yourself on wire.
Yeah,
So
it really hurts.
if you happen to be playing, well, not playing with wire, but using wire,
Playing with
and
wire.
you poke yourself, make sure that you're not near your mother or someone that will freak out if you accidentally.
So I
throw
cut off
out
the
a
little extra, and then I can take
expletive.
like,
Yeah.
I can sort of hold it in place and take your pliers and kind of finish wrapping that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some, like, we talked a little bit about, well, earlier before the show, we talked a little bit about some alternative
see that?
ears you can do. Like, you can get, like, a film kind of material.
Like cellophane.
Yeah.
And put it on there.
And you can kind of just, like, put it over the ears to make them look a little different if you don't like the regal princess look.
Princess, yes.
So there's some options.
Yeah. So I'm gonna,
Throw things around.
I'm gonna throw things around. So I know I'm gonna put it there. So now that's kind of in place because it has a little stopper, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You can see that. Okay. So now that I've got that kind of in place, and I know where I want that to be, I'm gonna do the same thing where I'm gonna lash it to the headband with wire. Yeah, that word.
Lash it.
Lash it.
You gotta get aggressive with your costume accessories or they might not behave.
behave. Basically.
And I
Well,
used
you know, like a ship lashing things to.
yeah, you can
know what
lash
I mean?
things together, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Not, it's sad I'm an English major, I should know this. I should know words like this. But if you want to go crazy, you can like make Disney ear little, mine here, they've got, I don't know if you can see them, but they've got like fancy material on them. And you can get like a cute little bow. I'm like trying to stay in shot and do this. You can get a little bow, and then mine have a little skull because I am hardcore, but I also love the Haunted Mansion. That's what these are from. And then there's some feathers up here, and they are lovely to wear to Halloween parties. And if you really like, they're modeled after Jack Skellington. So if
Yep.
you like that movie, there you go. And these ones are modeled after Disney princesses, so you can
Yeah, they
just customize them
are.
like crazy. And I know I've seen ones like the last time I was at Disneyland, there was one. I have no idea how they did it, but they had like a massive bow that was like bigger than your head, and it like came off both sides. And I was like, I put it on and it weighed like 10 pounds. But I mean, the sacrifices you make for costumes, I
Yeah.
guess.
True story.
True story.
This is
Gosh,
nice
tell the
because
parties.
it's like kind of a alternate way to put things together without like hot glue.
Yeah.
Which is a great costume situation. But this is, you know, a little cleaner, a little fancier.
Yeah.
So just like,
And
you
you have to
know,
worry
knowing
about
an
burning
alternate
yourself.
way. Yeah. So
Yay,
there you
look at
go.
how cute they are.
Adorable.
Yay! And just to clarify, these are mouse princess
Princess
ears,
ears.
not Disney, not Mickey Mouse Disney ears.
Yeah.
Just to clarify that. These are homemade.
They're
Done.
adorable.
Yeah.
And we can put as many sparklies on it as you want.
Yeah, so and you don't want to over bling. So this is a good example of doing some simplistic choices. You want to be classy if you're being a princess. So yeah, that was that. Easy peasy. So I guess we can move into, I have a game planned for a little bit, but we need some time to set up for that. So I think we're going to take a short break here in a second. So that we have time to set up for the game. And then we'll be right back after that. But is there any, like, last minute things we need to say about these ears? Just don't over bling them and have fun with them?
Well, you can bling them as much as you want. I mean,
I'm not
if
gonna
I had
judge
more
you.
beads, I'd just, you know, bling it on up.
So have fun with them.
Yeah,
That's the main point,
exactly.
is to enjoy. Okay, so...
Okay.
Oklahoma isn't your room. So don't trash it.
Let's try that again. Keep Oklahoma beautiful. For more information, visit www.keepoklahomabeautiful.com.
Welcome back. So now we're going to play a little game, which is kind of a game, but also learning. You get to learn fun trivia today. So basically, I'm going to explain the game, and then I'm going to give you some trivia, and it's going to be very educational because we want people to learn things. The game that we're going to play is that we're going to take two Disney princesses and we're going to kind of talk about their costumes and the historical accuracy of them. But I was talking a little bit with Becca over the origin of fairy tales, and she wanted me to talk a little more about that because she thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So I learned in film class, because OCU has fun film classes, I learned in film class that there's a philosopher named Bruno Bettelheim who basically said that the reason we have fairy tales is because as children, we have a lot of anxiety built up, and it's just like a natural thing. It kind of just happens. Like there's two sides of your brain, and basically one of them is called the id, and it's like your inner King Kong. Basically, if it takes over, you turn into a gorilla and throw things across the room, and people go crazy. And then you have a super ego, which is basically the thing that can make people really arrogant or really it's like our pride as upper thinking humans, and they're constantly at war with each other, especially when you're a young child. So as a young boy, you don't really know what to do with all this anxiety, but you know basically that you really love your mom. Like your mom is really the only sure thing that's going on. You love her a lot, and you're like, oh my God, but I have to compete with my dad for her. This is awful. So the reason the fairy tale was invented was to tell you that there are going to be some obstacles, and it's okay that you feel anxious, because once you get to the end of this journey, you will find a princess or your true love. And so the dragon and the wizards and all the evil mystical stuff is you subconsciously learning that there are going to be untold obstacles, and your princess love interest person is your fulfillment and stuff. It's really deep, but
It's really deep.
So now we can play the game.
Disney princesses.
Cute Disney princesses, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, so we're starting with Belle, right?
Yes, we're starting with Belle. Okay, so I'm going to show you. This is Belle, sort of how she's represented in Beauty and the Beast. She has her beautiful gold dress, and well, here on the left or the right?
Right.
On the
think
right?
that, yeah.
Here on this
side.
This is a picture of Madame Pompadour.
Okay.
She was a mistress of King Louis XIV.
Mm.
And she kind of set the trend for fashion at that time. So Beauty and the Beast, sort of the origin, the authors, it was a story that was told by mouth over a long period of time, but it was finally put into like story form around 1740.
Okay.
And so that, as a costumer, we refer to that as the Rococo time, okay?
Such a fun name.
Paris, France was also the sort of epicenter of women's fashion at that time as well. And so she was like the it girl of the time, right? So this kind of just shows you like compared to, this is what she looks like in the animation compared to what the fashion was actually at that time.
It's a little off.
It's just a little off. In costume design, we talk about silhouette. Silhouettes are kind of the lines of their dresses. You can see it's kind of full. Her dress is very full. The lines are very full. They're these sumptuous fabrics, things like that, a lot of lace. So that's kind of the silhouette. So it's similar, but a little stylized, not quite like that. Well, looking online, there's some artists, graphic designers, that like to actually kind of merge the two. And we're going to see that.
It's so pretty. I
sort
love
of the
it.
representation of what Belle might look like if she were actually animated more in that time period.
Yay!
So
Look how pretty she is.
she's got all the ruffles. I can show you.
Yeah.
Right next to it. She's got the ruffles. She's got a slightly different neckline. If you can see in the animated version, it's a little off the shoulders,
Yeah.
which would have been a little scandalous for that time. She's slightly more covered up. But
When
you can
does
kind of see
the off the shoulder thing kind of come in?
probably Victorian times, so
Okay.
the late 1800s, early
So-
1900s.
It's a little scandalous.
Yeah, they were a little more modest. However, it was pretty low cut. When I say low cut, we're talking about not so much the shoulders were not the emphasis, but the bosom was more the emphasis of that
I love
time
the word
period.
bosom.
So that's kind of an interesting little
Yeah.
mashup of what that could have looked like if they would have designed it more historically accurate.
Yeah, I think I like Belle's more, like,
I love
historically.
hers, yeah.
Hers is really, just really pretty, but I
Got
guess
all the
that would have been a
ruffle,
lot.
like the sleeves and the. I love it.
When is that? Okay, so there's one that I've seen that's like the really is. I think it's Elizabethan. Me and my roommate talk about it all the time. It's like the one with the neckline that's like all the way up here, and it's so ugly.
So like during Elizabethan times, like that's when Shakespeare. Everyone's heard of Shakespeare. That's like when a lot of costumes happened during that time. Women were moved more towards that masculine feeling, so they were very modest, very covered up. They had the ruffs just like the men did.
Yeah.
So they really had that sort of similar masculine silhouette, if that makes sense. It's not so pretty. It's not as feminine, which is probably why you would respond to it as like, oh, it's not as pretty.
Yeah.
Because it's not as feminine.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Next, speaking of medieval / awful necklines.
Yeah.
Now we're moving into Aurora.
This is Aurora. She was my favorite princess growing up. Like,
She's very pretty. I always love the way
Yeah.
she's animated.
she's very pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is her.
We're just looking.
She was
at
my princess growing up, so everyone has sort of their princess. I guess mine became Belle because finally there was a Disney princess with brown hair and brown eyes.
That's fair.
But all the rest of them are blonde, and you know the way it is. It's cool. So here she is. Again, these stories usually have a few hundred years where they're sort of cultivated until they actually get put into a story, like a written story. So it wasn't until about the 1300s that Sleeping Beauty was actually written down. And it was in Europe, I think it was Denmark specifically, when it was finally put into story form. And then you can see here, these are some of the historical silhouettes that were part of that time.
Cool. And so this is her,
And then this is her.
the combined
This
version.
is kind of the combined. If she were to actually be a little more historically accurate, you can kind of see the difference there.
I like that one better too. It's so pretty. Ugh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about sort of your first year and how you came to be here. That sounded very mystical. But we'll be right back after this break.
OCU is that open shot to a winning goal.
Countless rehearsals for one flawless routine.
Learn learning to serve before trying to lead.
Learning a language everyone can understand. OCU is
Me.
Me.
me,
I'm OCU.
Some people don't think it's easy to be green. Audrey does it every day. Turn off appliances when they're not being used. Shut off the lights when you leave a room. Always recycle paper. Recycle plastic, too. Today, Audrey did her part in helping OCU conserve. It's that easy. Have you done the same? Visit okcu.edu/bluegoesgreen for more information.
Welcome back. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of time left, so our interview is going to be pretty short. Basically, how did you come to be here, or how did you come to like get into costuming?
So I actually started out as a performer, and eventually, like, I sort of melded my like artistic abilities. I learned a lot about theater and about acting and about performing for my first couple of years through college, and then I kind of shifted into that because I really wanted to express myself that way, and I loved costumes. Like, even as a little kid, like I loved making them. I loved, you know, all sorts of things about it. So in the end, it kind of melded my love of theater and my passion for art as well. And so I've been a few different places, but yeah, that's basically
So
how.
we have about a minute left.
Sure.
So how did you get from there to like on campus here?
To here,
Yeah.
well, after I got my bachelor's in costume design and theater, and then I went to graduate school at University of Memphis, and so I did my graduate work there, and I worked there and in Utah, sort of where I was from, and then while I was in Memphis, I saw that there was a teaching position here, and I applied, and this is sort of my first, you know, actual teaching costume design solely. So it's really exciting because I get to teach my passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's what is the saying? If you like do what you love, it's not really work.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's definitely times that it like gets intense. It's more of a process than I think people would think, and it's not just about making things. Okay. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me and playing Disney games and
Yay.
making ears. This has been Studio 22, and that's all.